It's Saturday. I've just completed my first week of COVID-19 self-imposed isolation. Working from home, it wasn't as bad as I was imagining. It still wasn't super fun, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. So that's a positive. But it is Saturday now, and the sun is shining. It's a beautiful day. So we're going to keep working on the Civic. I've got quite a lengthy list of things to get through, and who knows, maybe I'll actually be able to do it with all this time. But today we're going to start with the real priority. Number one is get it registered, and that starts with a new distributor. So this is the new distributor. I'm going to get it in there. First step is to check the base timing on the motor, and this should be at 16 degrees timing. So I'll check that, and then we'll move on to getting the distributor on. It shouldn't be that difficult. From everything I've read and seen, it's pretty straightforward. So we'll find out how straightforward it is. All right, here we go. Alright, checking your base timing's not that hard. You do need a few things. Namely, you need a timing gun. So, you got this. You set your timing gun to 16 degrees. Turn it on. It's flashing now. So, it's not going to pick up in the camera, unfortunately. Yeah, the frame rate of the camera is not matching up with the timing light. But right now I'm looking right at 16 degrees. The timing mark is lining up right where it should on the timing belt cover. So it looks like we're at base time right now, so that's good. So we'll move on to the next phase. Okay, so the next step, according to the internet, is to set your cylinder 1 at top dead center. And I'm going to be completely honest here, I don't 100% understand why. I'm pretty sure I get it. You know, you're going off of the timing of your cylinder 1, so at top dead center, that should be right at 16 degrees in your timing, I think. That's my theory. So anyway, you gotta take out cylinder 1, gotta get the spark plug out, so we got that. Okay. Next, get something long, like a really long screwdriver. Be really careful because this is going to touch the top of your cylinder. So you just want that in there. So that will indicate where your cylinder is in its stroke, right? So this is going to go up or it's going to go down, so you can watch that. So then, taking your tire off is obviously very helpful. And then get your ratchet on the crank and then start cranking. So watch that screwdriver. There we go. So it's starting to raise. There we go. That's top dead right there, because watch, I'll crank it again and it'll fall a little bit. See, now it's coming down. So there. So I'll crank it back again and get it up to top center, but that's basically how you do it. Start cranking on the crank bolt, watch your screwdriver where it hits top dead center, then stop cranking, and then we can go to the next step. Okay, so with cylinder 1 at top dead center, next step is going to get the plug wires off. So just remember the plug wire order. So this is cylinder 4. That's cylinder 3, here's cylinder 2, and here's cylinder 1. So you're going to have to put these wires back in the same order, otherwise your firing is going to be off and it won't run. So remember that. Then to remove the distributor, it's just 3 bolts. So there's one here at the top. I'm going to leave that for last, but there's one right down here. That's it. And then there's one buried under all of this mess down there. But with a ratchet and extension, you can get it without any problem. But remove these 2 first on the side, and then let's leave this one for the last. So let's do that. So there's all my plug wires removed. Got them just out of the way over here. So one last thing to remember before you take off your distributor is just know kind of where your distributor was sitting, right? So this distributor is basically maxed out to the side. So it's like that. So it's helpful You know, I made these marks on the distributor just to make sure the bolt wasn't creeping around, but go ahead and make a mark from the distributor to the bracket, because this part isn't going to leave. This is attached to the engine, but this is part of the distributor. It's going to leave. So just try to match up to that mark as best you can, but just remember the orientation where this bolt is. If it's all the way over here, just make sure when you install the new one, you get as close to that as possible. You're gonna reset timing after the distributor is installed. So just kind of keep that in mind when you're putting it back on. So here are both of the distributors. This is the one that just came out of the car. This is the old one. This is the new one. So I'm just doing a visual check just to make sure that everything is where it should be, right? So the brackets, the top mounting holes are in the same orientation. These ones are here. This is the mounting bracket for your harness, and that's in the same spot. So these are identical. They'll go right back in together. And then it's important to line this up as well. There's some alignment marks on the distributor itself. Just make sure it matches the one that comes out of the car. So these are in the same orientation. And then I'm checking the mounting, the harness, so that's good. The harness plugs, yeah, so those all match. So this is the right part. That's positive news. So this should go right back in just the way that this one came out. So here we go. Oh, and before putting this back in the car, there are some O-rings, right? So every distributor has an O-ring right here and the one right here. So just get some oil and just kind of get those lubed up just a little bit before they go in. It's always a good idea to have your O-rings kind of pre-oiled. So we'll get this one back in the car. Let's get the new distributor in there. So first off, just grab a little oil right here. Get it around those gaskets and around the O-rings. Just want them, you don't have to go crazy with these, from what I've heard. Okay, so then it's just a matter of lining everything up. There we go. So now it's seated. So when these go on, you don't need to force them in. They should just kind of pop into place as those O-rings start to seal themselves. If you're really having to put a lot of pressure and really push on this thing, pull it out. Don't try to force it in. You need to align that little spline in front of the distributor. It should go in just with a little pop. So here it comes out. That, and then coming in, if you can hear it, here we go. So that's in, and that's free hanging. So now we just need to mount up the bolts and then reset our timing on the motor. So I'm just gonna get this first bolt finger tight. There we go. And then I'm gonna get it as close to that orientation as I remember. So mine was all the way over and then just a hair back. So I'm just gonna start there. Just snug down that bolt so it'll hold position. Doesn't need to be cranked on yet. And you don't want to put these bolts in yet, the other mounting bolts, because you need this distributor to be able to rock a little bit, because that's how you're going to advance or retard time with your distributor. And you're going to need to do that to reset the timing in your motor. So just use this top one first. And actually, you don't need to snug it down yet either. You need to be able to move your distributor back and forth. So just keep it finger tight right there, so you can still slide it back and forth to set your time. So again, mine was all the way over, just a hair back. So now we're gonna go and see how close we are to timing, how much we need to advance or retard. So let's do that next. Okay, so obviously you're going to need to remove the screwdriver, put the spark plug back in, reconnect your plug wire, and then you're going to need to put your plug wires back into the distributor. So I'm going to start with one, goes down here. Here's one. Two is next right there. Then four is right here on top. And three reaches all the way over. So there you go. So that's your firing order. 1, 2, 3, 4. So now everything is back. It should be okay to go ahead and fire the motor, and it's probably going to run like garbage for the first little bit, but that's okay. That's just, you have to adjust the timing. So we still have enough play here where we can adjust that timing and get it back to 16 degrees. Hopefully. Let's go do it. So I just rechecked the timing on the new distributor. Everything is right where it should be, so that's great. It was just a little more advanced on this one than it was on my previous distributor. My previous one was slid all the way over. This one was just a little bit more kind of this way, which is okay. That's where the motor wants it, so that's where it's going to be. So next step is just to tighten this down and then get my other bolts, this one and that one, in. And then it should be good to go. All right, so the other good news, I had a check engine light from my old distributor, from the sensor that was failing in there. So now I have some good news. Check it out. No check engine light. You know, it's the simple things in life. Good stuff. I feel accomplished. All right, guys, that feels good. It all went in according to plan, and that's always nice when it's not a big fight. So now the only thing left to do is to get this down to Grease Monkey and have them do an emissions test on it. The new distributor should clear up everything. It was the check engine light, and then it was the idling problem. It was really rich at idle, and we cleared that all up with a new fuel map. So I'm optimistic that this is going to actually work. But regardless, it feels good to actually have the distributor in, and we're making progress now. So let's go to our mega list. So we got our door installed, we got our fender installed, we did plug wires, now we did our distributor. Oh, that feels good. So next will be this. We're gonna do the emissions check, and then everything else. It looks like a lot because it's a lot. All right, thanks for hanging around, guys. Hope everybody's doing all right with this COVID-19 garbage. Hopefully life goes back to normal pretty soon, but in the meantime, we can always hang out here on YouTube. So be safe, have fun, and talk to you later.